name is Cindy, and I'm a patriot. My family came to this country in order to establish a new life for themselves. And what I've seen in the last 24 hours, I find to be incredibly disappointing. There's an apathy that has invaded the very fiber of this country, and a sense of entitlement, a sense of that there's no responsibility to maintain the freedoms that we have, that you can just say, oh, it's going to be okay. We don't need to vote. We don't need to do jury duty. We don't need to get involved because we vote for Republicans. Woot woot. And I'm telling you that if you don't get off your sorry butts and go out and do your research and find out who stands up for the freedoms that you want to preserve in this country, if you don't do that, I don't want to hear you bitch. Now, some of y'all know me, some don't. I deal with chronic issues every day. I live with pain every day. You know what? I poured out everything I had to make a stand, to support and vote for people who I believed had a sense of patriotism, a sense of right and wrong. I helped. I donated out of my pennies. But I stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning and I watched the electoral. And they say, oh, there was no evidence of voter fraud. Bullcrap. I call bullcrap. I've listened to the hearings. I've heard what people have to say. I've seen the videos. It wasn't Trump supporters that stormed the Capitol. There were 3 buses of Antifa people that were blended in. It was an opportunistic, staged event. And I don't understand. I don't understand how people can complain when they've allowed this to happen. Your apathy toward this country. You know, maybe this is the separation of church and state illusion, okay? But people who have a moral foundation, they know the difference between what's right and what's wrong. We're called to discern. We're called to look at something and say, okay, is this right? Is this wrong? And then we are called socially, biblically, morally. We're called to take a stand for what's right. Not violently, but firmly. We're called to be salt and light in a very, very apathetically and morally bankrupt society. I'm not discouraged right now. I am discouraged, but I'm not as discouraged as I am angry. Because there was no excuse for this. You know, I listened to the word out there as they were counting the electorals. I listened to it, and I listened to the speeches. And what I heard so much venom. There's so much hatred. There's so much evil. And why do we think that when right and wrong should not be gray? It's not gray. It's black and white. Lots of it is black and white. We're not supposed to be violent. And we're not a violent people. On the average, most patriots are not violent people. They're just not. They're not violent people. I watch the videos of patriots standing between protecting the police officers from the Antifa. That is what I expect from our country. I expect that we stand against wrong. And for the past 4 years, we have watched. I don't know. If you're watching mainstream media, I cannot even begin to tell you. I can't. Because when you're inundated with an agenda to the extent that you can no longer see what's happening, and the voices of individual people and individual testimonies come out and they mean nothing to you, then the deception, I don't want to get preachy, but you know what? The Bible is very clear that there would be a deception in the end times, that there would be a great falling away. And I don't think the church has done what it needs to do in this season. There are patriots that have stood up and tried to do something. But the church has fallen away. What happened to the church? Where's that place where they become involved in a community such that it stands up for what's right and what's wrong? Where are they? A sin is not, I'm okay, you're okay. It's not. There are absolutes. And lies become truth, and it all becomes this. Oh gosh, words don't come to me. They come in spurts. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that the majority of the people in this country are good, upstanding citizens. But we have let a very insidious minority begin to dictate how we live. When's the last time you read the Constitution? When's the last time you read the Bill of Rights? Do you even know what it says? We are that far from losing hundreds of years worth of freedom and free enterprise. That far? I've heard stories all the way through, okay, it's not over. Okay, I get that. And I want to say this. Regardless of who becomes president, regardless. And I understand that this election is not over until it's over. Okay? But regardless of who becomes president, there is one serious thing that needs to be looked at. And that is the people. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? If you don't like whatever they call them, I don't know, the guys that dress up like women. If you don't want them reading books to your children at the public library or in school, what are you going to do to stop it? If there's one thing we need to keep in mind right now about this election, is that get off your butt. Go to your county commission meetings. Find out who your senators are and what they believe in and how they feel about representing you. Because if they're not representing you and they're representing an agenda, they're not your representative. They're just not. And I saw representatives standing up for the people at that. I heard them speaking. And their opinion got overridden. You just called me a liar. Strike that. Oh no, I'm not going to strike that. Yeah. You know, I know for me, I'm going to show up to my county commission meetings. I'm going to research my representatives. Before I vote for them, I voted for some people that flipped, that didn't support. They made decisions not to recognize fraud for the sake of what they felt was their moral compass and responsibility. Okay? That's okay. I'm glad you can sleep at night. But you allowed fraud to prevail. Fraud prevailed. You had the opportunity written into our Constitution to stop fraud in its tracks. You had the opportunity. And you didn't. You didn't, and you had the power. The Constitution was written for such a time as this, and you had the power, and you didn't exercise the power to stop the illegal activity that was taking place, knowing that it was wrong. Because you didn't think it was your job. How many of us live every single day, and we don't get involved in stuff that we see that's wrong because we don't feel it's our job? It is your job. If you are an American citizen, it is your job. The implications of what has happened and what will happen. We're talking opening of borders. We're talking total compromise in the future of our electoral system. This is nothing compared to what you're going to see. And if the grassroots doesn't, and I'm not talking violent, I'm talking get involved in your community. There is no place for violence. There's no place. I pray that this turns out where we have another chance. May not. Pray it does. But the question really comes down to, what are you going to do? What are you going to do now? What are you going to do? You're just going to concede that, hey, we got a new president. We're just going to embrace him and let him do whatever he wants and let him turn this country inside out and backwards and open the borders. And if you have a moral compass, I'm a Christian. I have what's right and wrong written inside of me, so when I see something that's wrong, I can't shut down that feeling. If we know what's right and wrong, and we shut down the desire and the drive to do something, then we are no longer salt and light in this world. We're not. Okay, rant over. Kind of had to get that out of my system. Thank you. Thanks for listening, and may this be a day that's written down in infamy, that we never, ever, ever forget where we are right now. And may we get on our knees and pray we can make a difference. Thank you for everyone who showed up in DC. I wish I could have been there. I'm proud of you. Thank you. God bless. One of the best presidents that we've probably seen. Maybe only a couple like in our nation's history. Pray for his family. They've been through hell. Thank you, Donald Trump. Thank you, Patriots. And God bless America.